Our next speaker, his name is Pierre-Yves Calloc'h, Chief Digital Officer at Pernod Ricard, which has over 240 premium wine brands. So today he will be talking from grain to glass, examples of applied AI at Pernod Ricard. There you go.
Thank you. Hello everybody. A quick presentation of Pernod Ricard, just in a few figures for you to read. So we are a spirits and wine company. It's interesting, last night when I checked in at the hotel, the receptionist told me, so you're going to a conference of AI and wine, how does it match? So this is the idea of the presentation, is to tell you how we've concretely been using AI for actually quite a lot of time in the company. So for those who know about the complexities of creating those nice wines, there's one critical moment, which is the vintage, where you have too many blocks to be harvested in little time. So optimizing that critical moment of harvest is key for any company. So how have we started to do that? Actually in 2008. So at the time, ChatGPT was not even a name in your local newspaper, and we had to stop the algorithms from running after 24 hours because the power of computing wasn't that great. But we did it, and so what we were starting to do, it was based on first the prediction of the level of sugar. For the experts, it's called the break level in each of the grapes, and then using that for optimizing the harvest. So how does it work? It's a little complex, but I'll start from your left to my right. So first, what we take as input is quite a lot of information. So you have specificities about each block, its altitude, level of rain, etc. Then you take historical weather data and also the weather forecast. And you take also information from grape sampling, and based on historical information, because for about 10 years you had the people in the vineyards collecting each day the level of sugar in the grapes, what was the weather, etc. And then so we are able to have maturity prediction curves for each of the blocks. And then, based on that, we define what is the optimal level of sugar that we want to harvest on, depending on the type of grape. And then you have first what would be the theoretical harvest if everything was possible. So which blocks we would be harvesting. Then you apply some constraints. So number of trucks you have available, capacity of the crushing of the grapes, etc. And then so you do a kind of smoothing of the actual harvest that you want to do. And then that gives you a significant optimization, so based on the constraint of equipment and labor, which gives you the final grape schedule and bookings of all the people, booking of the trucks, also what we call work orders execution, so this is for the crushing of the grapes. And then you have all the planning of the labor, which means that you can optimize shifts, over shifts, etc., to have people which are maintained at a good level of health, motivation, etc. during the harvest. And this has changed significantly since the implementation. The way we are performing the harvest, there's much less urgency management. You can still have some unforeseen weather exceptions, but most of the time the harvest is going much more smoothly than it was before. You have so cost savings, but also the quality of the wine and the quality of the grapes that you harvest, giving the quality of the wine is much better, and that was interesting to see that this can impact the final cost of value of the wine in the first presentation we had today. So this is one of the first implementation we've had of AI in our industry, and it's now been lined for a number of years, both in Australia and New Zealand. The other part that is important for us is to get those nice wines we are producing down to your glass, if you are amateurs of wine. And so the marketing is one key element that we use in all wine and spirits companies to get our brands known, our products better known. So I'll take the example of Emma, who's a marketing manager in Germany, one of our affiliates. She has a budget, unfortunately it's not unlimited, to allocate between different brands. Usually a marketing manager will have about 15 brands to activate. And there's a lot of options because there's, depending on the countries and the different laws, TV, out of home, bar events, social activations in store, or e-commerce where you can bet your money. And in the past, it was more a bet than something else. A lot of our affiliates were using the recommendations of marketing agencies to define how much money they would allocate depending on touch points. Marketing agencies are doing the same as us. They're trying to sell the products with the most margins. So probably a little biased in terms of recommendations. So what we've developed is a tool that we call Matrix. Internally, that would give a precise recommendation of the level of spend by brand and by touchpoint, marketing touchpoints we've seen before. So how does it work? So first, we have a module which is a predictive sales impact from the marketing. So for this, we take 3 years of weekly historical data in Germany for that example. We take also some market data, what is the competition doing at the same time, and then what is the advertising spend week by week, touch point by touch point on each of the brands. So that's not easy to get all that data. Sometimes you need to do archaeology in emails, PowerPoint presentations, etc. But once you know about it, we are now collecting that data weekly basis. Second, you are putting some strategic prioritization, so saying this year I want to push more that brand than this other one, have a big contract with an international star, so I want to have TV more present, etc. And some consumer insights that give us also the long-term impact of the marketing campaigns on the brand recognition. And then you put some scenario parameters. So the affiliate is currently over budget. Sometimes it happens in terms of sales. So then you say, okay, I want to maximize the long term or the share, taking a share in the market. On the contrary, the affiliate is under budget. I'll maximize the contributive margin I'm generating. And based on all those parameters, the user, so here the marketing manager, will get recommendations of, for that scenario, this is how you should be allocating the budget. And usually we recommend the marketing teams to follow 80% of the recommendation. Why not 100%? Because you still need to generate new data. There are new touch points. Sometimes we haven't explored the level of spend between brands at a higher level. Also, it helps to generate. And also, you can make some bets saying, okay, my campaign from last year wasn't great. The assets were not that great. Next year is going to be much better. So they can say, okay, my return on investment will be twice as much or 20% as much next year. So based on all those parameters, they decide what they follow and not follow. But what we are asking is compliance, I would say, following between 70 and 80%. So I didn't get an example of wine because we have not published them. But just to give you an example, from the UK on one of our brands, which is Jameson, we got 30% additional sales generated directly by the marketing in just 1 year by changing the proportion of spend between the different touch points. So the level of optimization that you get is quite significant. So that's a second example of what we are doing today, and we have deployed those solutions in about 20 markets currently, and in each market it applies to about 70% of the portfolio. There are some brands where we don't have enough historical data to be able to do with to perform accurate predictions. So this is an example of how you optimize also the distribution, the marketing of your wine. And we've been doing also in a similar way optimization of price increases, promotion efficiency, which are working quite well. Now, in the future, a big application for me of AI will be about the sustainability. What we've been doing, in particular in France, is trying different techniques of regenerative agriculture for the past 10 years. So some of the blocks of vineyards we've had have been segmented in different parcels, trying different combinations of practices to identify what is the impact on the soil, the CO2 emissions, but also the yield, because we're not a non-profit, so at some stage you need to have some good yields. And it's the same for our partners, wine growers. And if we want them to join this movement of regenerative agriculture, we need to provide the information what will be the yield if you implement this or that technique. So this is why we are currently starting a program which is piloted in the Cognac Champagne Cognac region, in France, with the idea to make sure that the wine growers have the best information they can to choose the practices of agriculture that will have the best impact on the different parameters of the climate change limitation, but also on the yield from their blocks. So what will be the result? What we want is that the different wine growers will give the different characteristics about their blocks. They will be able to identify what are the impacts of the practices on the soil, on the air, CO2 emissions, but also on the yield. We will be able, based on the historical information we have gathered and created, to be able to do projections of what happens if I'm changing this or that practice. And based on that, they will receive a recommendation of the best combination that will be for them, with also getting into implementation. Some of the implementation requires financing. If you want to buy, for example, an electric tractor or change the type of products that you're using in the vineyards, there might be a need for insurance or some operational changes. So this is what we are currently working on, with support from the French government in that case, and also the associations in the Cognac region, and that we want to expand and to share with other companies in the future. So that's it for the implementations of concrete AI cases.